You've probably heard that American car buyers love their reliable sedans and practical SUVs, but what about those forgotten gems sitting on dealer lots across the country? While everyone's chasing the latest Tesla or trying to snag a Ford F-150, there's a whole world of incredible cars that nobody seems to want, and honestly, that's their loss. These so-called worst-selling vehicles aren't failing because they're bad cars. They're just misunderstood masterpieces that offer amazing value for smart buyers who know what to look for. Let's start with the Triumph TR7 from the late 70s. A car that people love to hate but shouldn't. Sure, this British sports car had a rough start with some quality issues, but here's what most people don't know. The TR7 was actually the best-selling Triumph ever made, with around 115,000 units built. That's more than the TR250, TR5, and TR6 combined. The car's wedge-shaped design was way ahead of its time, and while critics called it controversial, it was actually quite innovative. Under the hood, you got a 2.0-liter engine that produced 92 horsepower, which might not sound like much today, but it was perfectly adequate for a lightweight sports car. The TR7 offered decent handling and came with standard front disc brakes and a 5-speed manual transmission. Production eventually moved to better facilities, and build quality improved significantly. The convertible version that came out in 1979 addressed most of the styling complaints and offered improved structural rigidity. A more powerful TR8 model featuring a 3.5-liter Rover V8 was also introduced, though most were exported to the US. Today, you can pick up a TR7 for around $7,500, making it one of the most affordable classic sports cars you can buy. The perception of its failure often overshadows its historical sales success and later improvements, showing how a product's reputation can be incredibly difficult to restore once tarnished. Then there's the Plymouth Velar and its twin, the Dodge Aspen, from the mid-70s. These cars actually won Motor Trend's Car of the Year award in 1976, so they couldn't have been that bad, right? The problem was that Chrysler rushed them to market to replace the reliable Valiant and Dart models. But let's focus on what they did right. The Velar and Aspen featured a completely new F-body platform designed with aerodynamic principles and computer-aided design to reduce weight and improve fuel economy. They came with a new isolated transverse suspension system with transversely mounted torsion bars intended to provide a softer, quieter, big car ride. They were available in 4-door sedan, 2-door coupe, and 4-door wagon styles, and even offered sporty RT and Roadrunner packages with bucket seats and sunroofs. Engine options included the legendary 225 cubic inch slant 6, known for its durability in previous Chrysler models, plus optional V8s like the 318 and 360 cubic inch LA series engines. Horsepower figures ranged from 145 for the slant 6 to 195 for the 360 V8 in 1979. Acceleration from 0 to 60 was reported as sub 10 seconds for the 360 V8, though some tests recorded more leisurely times. Fuel economy was estimated at 10 to 15 miles per gallon, and transmissions included a 3-speed torque flight automatic and manual options. Yes, they had some early reliability issues with premature rust and mechanical problems, but Chrysler attempted to rectify most of these issues by 1978. Today, you can find a Velar for around $17,475 or an Aspen for about $12,784, with some rare performance variants fetching higher prices up to $66,000. The Ford Mustang II is another car that gets way more hate than it deserves. When it arrived in September 1973, just weeks before the OPEC oil embargo sent fuel prices soaring, its timing was actually perfect. Lee Iacocca had the foresight to downsize the Mustang, moving away from the larger, heavier first-generation models. The Mustang II was a commercial success, earning Motor Trend's Car of the Year award in 1974 and selling over 206,000 units in its first year. Total production exceeded 1 million units over its 5-year run, so clearly somebody was buying them. The design was a significant departure, being 19 inches shorter and up to 330 pounds lighter than its predecessor, making it even smaller than the original 1965 Mustang. It was notably based on the Ford Pinto platform, and its exterior featured a streamlined silhouette, while the interior was described as cozy yet functional. Ford offered various trim levels, including the sporty Cobra II and the bold King Cobra edition with striking decals and fender flares. Engine options started with a 2.3-liter inline-4 or 2.8-liter V6, with no V8 option available in 1974. The 5.0-liter V8 was reintroduced in 1975. Horsepower figures were modest due to emission standards, ranging from 88 to 103 for the 4-cylinder and V6, and 139 for the V8. Acceleration from 0 to 60 was leisurely, taking 12.2 seconds for a 1974 V6 Mach 1, though V8 models with manual transmission could achieve it in under 9 seconds. Top speed for the V8 manual was around 106 mph. Despite its commercial success in its time, the Mustang II's compromises on performance and association with the Pinto platform led to later dismissal by many enthusiasts. Average sale prices today range around $19,208, with top sales for rare or well-maintained examples reaching $60,000. The King Cobra edition has become particularly sought after. The Mercury Bobcat was essentially a rebadged version of the Ford Pinto. Launched in Canada in 1974 and in the US in March 1975. It represented Mercury's strategic response to surging demand for smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles following the 1973 oil crisis. While the Ford Pinto's reputation suffered dramatically from safety controversies, the Mercury Bobcat surprisingly saw its sales peak in 1979, reaching 35,067 units. Total Bobcat sales amounted to 134,508 units over its production run. The Bobcat was nearly identical to the Pinto in core structure, sharing the same 94-inch wheelbase and engine options, but it featured distinct styling elements, including a unique hood, grille, taillights, and badges. A key differentiator was Mercury's decision to make the Pinto's deluxe interior standard on the Bobcat, aiming to appeal to more upscale subcompact buyers. It was available as a 2-door hatchback or wagon, but not the sedan version offered by Pinto. Later models received rectangular headlamps and a more aerodynamic grille. Performance specifications mirrored the Pinto, with engine options including a 2.3-liter inline-4 and 2.8-liter V6. Horsepower ranged from 88 to 105, with torque figures between 118 and 140 pound-feet. Acceleration from 0 to 60 was in the 11 to 13 second range, with top speed around 100 mph. Fuel economy was estimated at 18 to 22 miles per gallon. Transmission choices included a 3-speed automatic and 4-speed manual. Interestingly, nobody told Bobcat jokes like they did about the Pinto, suggesting that Mercury's branding efforts helped it avoid extreme public scorn. The Bobcat was even considered a blessing from heaven for the Mercury sales force and helped improve the division's sales ranking. Today, it averages around $9,293, with top sales reaching $27,500 for rare wagon variants. The 1970s Chrysler New Yorker served as the brand's flagship luxury model throughout the decade, embodying traditional American automotive opulence. However, this decade proved challenging for Chrysler, particularly due to an ill-fated $450 million investment in new large cars just before the 1973 oil embargo. The sudden shift in public demand towards smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles after the crisis forced Chrysler to make expensive and rapid changes to its product lineup. Early 70s New Yorkers featured Chrysler's distinctive fuselage styling, characterized by long, wide-hipped, and bulky lines. By 1979, the New Yorker was significantly downsized, moving to the R-body platform shared with the Chrysler Newport, resulting in a reduced wheelbase and nearly 1,000 pounds of weight savings. The later 1979 R-body New Yorker, while smaller, retained many luxury features including leather or cloth interiors, multiple audio system options, and a standard vinyl roof. It also presented a unique front end with hidden headlights and full-width taillights. Performance in the early 70s was robust, often powered by the legendary 440 cubic-inch RB V8 engine, which produced 350 to 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. These land yachts could accelerate from 0 to 60 in under 9 seconds and reach top speeds of 125 mph. Fuel economy was typically 10 to 12 miles per gallon. However, with the 1979 downsizing, the large big block engines were replaced. The standard engine became a 360 CID V8 with 150 horsepower, with a 318 CID V8 as an option. Power was consistently sent through a 3-speed torque-flight automatic transmission. A significant mechanical issue that plagued later 70s Chrysler models was the disastrous lean-burn computer-controlled electronic ignition system, which was prone to frequent failures. Today, the average sale price for a 70s Chrysler New Yorker is around $22,260, with specific 1970 models averaging around $10,033. The Oldsmobile 88 held a prominent position in American automotive history, serving as Oldsmobile's top-selling line for much of the mid-20th century, from 1950 to 1974. This full-size model was a cornerstone of General Motors' lineup, known for its blend of comfort and power, particularly with its rocket V8 engines. However, the 70s brought significant challenges, and in response to changing market demands and energy crises, the Oldsmobile 88 underwent substantial downsizing in 1977, becoming nearly 900 pounds lighter and considerably shorter, though interior room was largely maintained through clever packaging. Early 70s Delta 88 models exuded confidence with their long, sculpted bodylines and distinctive grilles, offering spacious cabins with plush materials. The iconic rocket V8 engine was a hallmark, with the 1970 model offering options like the 350 and 455 cubic inch V8s, producing 250 to 365 horsepower and 365 to 500 pound-feet of torque. These cars could achieve 0 to 60 in 7.0 to 8.5 seconds and top speeds of 115 to 125 mph, with fuel economy around 10 to 50 miles per gallon. Transmissions were typically 3-speed automatics. The later 70s models, particularly those introduced after the 1977 downsizing, faced new challenges. While the standard V8s like the 350 and 403 cubic inch rocket V8s continued to offer 160 to 185 horsepower and 275 to 320 pound-feet of torque. With 0 to 60 times of 11 to 13 seconds, the introduction of optional diesel V8s in 1979 proved problematic. These diesel engines suffered from weak and malleable timing chains that would stretch, leading to poor engine performance. Furthermore, the 3-speed automatic transmission was often not capable of dealing with the torque of a diesel motor, and failures were common. Other common issues across the 88 line included leaking intake manifold gaskets, fuel pump failures, power steering hose leaks, and front strut wear. Today, the average sale price for an Oldsmobile 88 is around $26,918, but prices vary significantly by year and condition, with later 70s models generally being less valuable. The Oldsmobile Cutless Supreme was an undisputed sales phenomenon throughout the 70s, holding the title of best-selling American car for much of the decade and early 80s. At its peak in 1977, Oldsmobile sold over 632,000 Cutless models, a staggering figure that solidified its dominance in the market. Positioned as a more luxurious and performance-oriented offering within the broader Cutless line, it aimed to blend comfort with muscle. The early 1970 Cutless Supreme was praised for its cool styling, featuring revamped body panels and new rooflines. It offered powerful V8 engines, including the 350 and 455 rocket V8s, producing 250 to 365 horsepower and 365 to 500 pound-feet of torque. These models could accelerate from 0 to 60 in 7.0 to 8.5 seconds and reach top speeds of 115 to 125 mph, with fuel economy around 10 to 15 miles per gallon. However, as the decade progressed, the Cutless Supreme, like many American cars, adopted the more boxy design trend, and its performance figures were impacted by emissions regulations. The 1978 model, though a foot shorter, maintained interior room through clever packaging, fitting only V6 and V8 engines. Despite its immense popularity, the Cutless Supreme was not without mechanical issues. Common problems reported by owners included leaking intake manifold gaskets, failed fuel pumps, high-pressure power steering hose leaks, and water pump failures. Other recurring issues involved rubber transmission cooler lines leaking, power window motor and switch failures, and rust. The malaise era of the late 70s, characterized by reduced performance and less distinctive styling, affected the Cutless Supreme's long-term desirability for some enthusiasts. While its sales figures were exceptional, the compromises made during this period meant that later models are generally less valued by collectors than their earlier, more powerful counterparts. For example, a 1970 Cutless Supreme averages around $19,000 in value, with top sales reaching $57,200, while a 1979 model averages around $7,600. The Ford Maverick was introduced in mid-1969 for the 1970 model year, positioned as a compact import fighter and replacement for the aging Falcon. It aimed to compete directly with popular Japanese imports from Dodson and Toyota. The Maverick achieved remarkable initial sales success, with nearly 579,000 units produced in its first year, a figure approaching the record-setting first-year sales of the Mustang. However, its timing was described as terrible due to the onset of the 1973 oil crisis and new bumper laws, which impacted its sporty image. The Maverick's styling borrowed cues from the Mustang, featuring a long hood, fastback roof, and short deck. It was available as a two-door or four-door sedan. Ford offered various trim packages, including the Grabber, which added graphics and a spoiler, and the Sprint for 1972, featuring a distinctive white and blue two-toned paint scheme with red pinstripes and a stylized USA flag shield. Under the hood, the Maverick offered a range of inline-six engines, including 170, 200, and 250 cubic inches, plus an optional 302 cubic inch V8. Horsepower figures ranged from 105 to 210, with torque between 158 and 296 pound-feet. Performance was modest for its class, with 0 to 60 times around 10 to 12 seconds and a top speed of 105 to 120 mph. Fuel economy was estimated at 15 to 20 miles per gallon. Transmission options included a 3-speed manual and 3-speed automatic. Despite its initial sales success, the Maverick suffered from common mechanical issues. Owners reported oil leaks, differential problems, and various electrical system issues. Brake problems, such as sticking or grabbing at lower speeds, were also noted. Rust was a significant concern, particularly in areas exposed to road salt, with reports of it appearing after just 2 years. Some owners also experienced camshaft issues. The Maverick's origins as an economy car and its later reliability issues contributed to its generally low collector value, often appearing on lists of least valuable classic cars. Average sale prices for the Ford Maverick range around $19,260, with top sales reaching $95,000 for exceptionally well-maintained or modified examples. While non-Grabber trims and four-door models tend to be less expensive, the Grabber models have seen considerable price increases over the last decade. The Chevrolet Vega was General Motors' ambitious entry into the burgeoning small car market, launched in 1970 for the 1971 model year, just before the Ford Pinto and AMC Gremlin. It received a relatively solid initial reception, even earning Motor Trend's 1971 Car of the Year award. However, this promising start quickly devolved into one of the most infamous tales in automotive history, as the Vega became plagued by a series of crippling issues that severely tarnished its reputation. The Vega's design featured a sleek, sporty silhouette with a long hood and short deck, and was available in various body styles, including a hatchback, which became iconic, notchback, wagon, and panel delivery. A key innovation was its all-aluminum engine block without cylinder liners, a daring move intended to save weight. This engine was a 2.3-liter inline-4, initially producing 90 horsepower, with an optional 110 horsepower version. A limited production Cosworth Vega, featuring a 16-valve twin-cam 2.0-liter engine with electronic fuel injection, was introduced in 1975, producing 110 horsepower and offering impressive acceleration with 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds. The Vega's downfall was primarily due to pervasive mechanical issues and poor build quality stemming from rushed production and cost-cutting measures. The innovative aluminum engine proved problematic, suffering from severe vibration, noise, and a tendency to overheat due to an initial lack of a coolant recovery tank and insufficient cylinder wall coating. This led to the engine block warping and cracking, resulting in excessive oil consumption, leaks, and even engine fires. Beyond the engine, the Vega was highly susceptible to rust, with reports of cars rusting on dealer lots and body panels inadequately protected against corrosion. Other issues included misaligned body panels, faulty components, electrical problems, defective axles which could separate, and throttles that could jam open. The car faced numerous recalls, with 6 out of every 7 Vegas produced subject to an official recall by 1972. The Vega's tarnished reputation and reliability issues led to significant depreciation, making it one of the worthless cars of its era. While standard Vegas have low collector value, the rare Cosworth Vega models are more sought after, with average sale prices around $20,281 and top sales reaching $56,100. The AMC Gremlin was American Motors Corporation's unconventional and hastily developed response to the growing popularity of small, fuel-efficient imported vehicles in the late 60s. Introduced on April Fool's Day 1970, its peculiar chop-back design, essentially an AMC Hornet with its rear section truncated, was initially met with intrigue and curiosity. Despite its bizarre appearance and a name that literally means a mischievous sprite causing malfunctions, the Gremlin was an unexpected commercial success, selling nearly 700,000 units over its 9-year production run. The Gremlin's design was distinctive, featuring a long hood and a wedge-shaped rear. It was shorter than both the Ford Pinto and Chevrolet Vega. AMC embraced its unconventionality in marketing, even offering a unique Levi's denim interior with real Levi's tags. Later models received minor updates, including softened edges and a front-end restyling in 1977. Under the hood, the Gremlin offered various inline-6 engines, including 199, 232, and 258 cubic inches. In 1972, an optional 304 cubic inch V8 was introduced, making the Gremlin one of the most potent subcompacts of its time, producing 150 SAE net horsepower. Later models also offered a Volkswagen Audi 1.98-liter 4-cylinder engine. Performance figures included 0 to 60 in 11 seconds for the inline-6 and a top speed of 129 mph for the supercharged models. The V8 models had significant tuning potential. While the Gremlin notably avoided the scandalous mechanical issues that plagued its rivals, such as the Pinto's exploding gas tank or the Vega's imploding engine, it had its own set of quirks. It was nose-heavy, carrying almost 60% of its weight over the front wheels despite being rear-wheel drive, which made it challenging in snowy conditions. Owners reported a choppy ride, notoriously slow steering, a heavy clutch, cramped rear seats only suitable for small children, and large blind spots due to wide C-pillars. The trunk space was also smaller than a Volkswagen Beetle's when the rear seats were up. Despite its initial sales success, the Gremlin's purposely contentious design and driving characteristics limited its long-term mainstream appeal, leading to its eventual discontinuation in 1978. It often appears on worst cars lists. However, its affordability, unique character, and surprising performance potential, especially with the V8, have earned it a loyal cult following today. Average sale prices for AMC Gremlins range around $11,600, with some examples reaching $29,037. The AMC Pacer, launched in February 1975, was heralded as the car of the future and a sensation upon its debut, embodying American Motors' philosophy of difference. This philosophy aimed to create unique vehicles that stood apart from the big three by embracing daring designs and anticipating future safety and pollution standards. However, by 1979, sales had faded considerably, and the Pacer is now widely regarded as one of the worst cars of all time. The Pacer's design was undeniably radical, characterized by its fishbowl aesthetic with an exceptionally large glass area of 5,615 square inches and an unusual width, making it wider than most compacts of its era. It featured innovative elements like rack and pinion steering and different sized doors, with the passenger door being 4 inches longer for easier rear seat access. The car was originally designed around a lightweight Wankel rotary engine, but when the deal with GM fell through, AMC had to hastily shoehorn its existing inline-6 engine into the Pacer, leading to packaging and serviceability issues. Performance was a major weakness. The Pacer's excessive weight, around 3,000 pounds, due to heavy glass, strong bumpers, and a roll bar, combined with its underpowered inline-6 engines, resulted in poor fuel economy and sluggish acceleration. Initial models offered 95 horsepower, later boosted to 120 horsepower with a 2-barrel carburetor, but the car still needed even more. A 0 to 60 time of over 14 seconds was common, which was poor even for the 70s. While AMC did offer a 5.0-liter V8 in 1978, producing only 130 horsepower, demand was limited due to high gas prices during the second energy crisis. The Pacer also suffered from steering problems, with reports of the steering seizing and failing due to the strain placed on the system by the heavy engine. Despite these issues, the Pacer largely avoided the scandalous mechanical failures that plagued rivals like the Vega or Pinto. The Pacer's controversial styling, coupled with its poor performance, excessive weight, and fuel inefficiency, led to a rapid decline in sales after its initial strong showing. Its implosion was a key factor in American Motors' eventual demise as an independent automaker. Today, the Pacer is often ostracized, but it has found some new appreciation among collectors for its peculiar 70s glory. Average sale prices for a 1975 Pacer are around $8,300, with top sales reaching $2,100. The 1970s Volkswagen Beetle, affectionately known as the Bug, was a global phenomenon, achieving a production record in 1972 by surpassing the Ford Model T. It was initially conceived as the people's car, offering compact, practical, and inexpensive transportation. In America, it became a symbol of counterculture and unity, with its distinctive curved exterior and innovative air-cooled engine. Despite its immense success, the Beetle's appeal began to decline after 1970 in the U.S. market. This was primarily due to the emergence of a new generation of small and mid-sized cars with water-cooled engines, front-wheel drive, more interior space, and modern styling. The Beetle's design, which lacked a traditional radiator and placed the engine where a trunk would normally be, set it apart but also contributed to its eventual obsolescence. Performance-wise, the 1970 Beetle was not about speed. Its 1.6-liter air-cooled rear-mounted flat-4 engine produced a modest 57 horsepower and 81 pound-feet of torque. It took around 20 seconds to reach 60 mph, had a quarter-mile time of 21 seconds, and a top speed of 81 mph. Fuel economy was respectable at 25 to 28 miles per gallon. Handling was nimble due to its lightweight construction and independent suspension. While the Beetle was renowned for its reliability and ease of maintenance due to its simple, air-cooled engine, later models faced increasing challenges. The air-cooled engine meant an unsafe and often near-useless heating and defroster system. The front-mounted fuel tank posed a safety hazard in front-end collisions. Owners also reported issues with engines overheating, especially the number 3 cylinder, poor handling, and rust, though it rusted slower than many contemporaries. By the early 70s, U.S. pollution and safety rules necessitated heavy modifications, leading to the Super Beetle. The Beetle's declining appeal in the face of modern competition and stricter regulations led to its eventual retirement in 2019, exactly 70 years after its U.S. introduction. While Volkswagen vehicles generally have a slower depreciation rate than many competitors, the Beetle's value still drops significantly over its lifespan. Today, the Beetle remains a beloved talisman and a highly recognizable cultural icon with a dedicated collector base. Average sale prices for a 1970 Beetle are around $13,095, with top sales reaching $40,450. The Lada Viaz 2101, known as Zhiguli in the Soviet Union, was a product of a unique partnership between the Soviet government and Italian automaker Fiat, designed to mass-produce an affordable car for the Soviet people. Modeled on the Fiat 124, it was heavily adapted for harsh Soviet conditions, with a reinforced suspension for unpaved roads, a strengthened body from thicker steel for harsh winters, and extra rust protection. It was an instant success domestically, becoming a cultural icon and a symbol of newfound mobility, despite wait times stretching several years due to demand far outstripping supply. Visually, the VAZ 2101 was almost identical to the Fiat 124, but mechanically, it featured a new engine with a modern overhead camshaft design not used in Fiat cars and rear drum brakes instead of discs. Early models even included a starting handle for manual engine cranking in Siberian winters. Engine options included 1.2-liter, 1.3-liter, and 1.45-liter inline fours, with horsepower ranging from 64 to 78. A rare experimental rotary engine version produced 70 horsepower but had severe durability issues, wearing out at just 20,000 kilometers. Acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour was around 16 to 23 seconds, and top speeds ranged from 137 to 150 kilometers per hour. While celebrated for its ruggedness and simplicity in the Soviet Union, the Lada received a strongly negative critical reception in most Western export markets. Critics like Jeremy Clarkson famously called it simply the worst car in the world, citing its old-fashioned technical layout, poor driving characteristics, and tank-like handling. The perception of poor quality was particularly acute during the dark period of Soviet and Russian production from 1990 to 1996, where disaffected workers led to a decline in build quality. The Lada's dated designs and technical layout, combined with growing competition from low-cost Asian brands and difficulties meeting EU emissions requirements, led to a decline in market share in Western Europe, and the brand withdrew from most Western markets by 1997. Despite its negative Western reception, the Lada maintains a strong cult following and is a recognizable cultural icon of Russia and the Soviet Union. Average sale prices for a Lada 2101 are around $7,163, with some well-preserved examples reaching $14,900. The fourth-generation Chevrolet CK pickup series, internally known as GMT 400, was introduced in April 1987 for the 1988 model year, replacing the rounded line CK trucks. This generation aimed to significantly improve overall performance, capabilities, comfort, and appearance. The Big Ten was a specific package offered on half-ton C10 trucks, primarily a suspension upgrade designed to bridge the gap between light-duty and heavy-duty trucks, allowing for increased payload and towing capacity. Notably, a 1975 Big Ten could even be optioned with a 454 cubic inch big block, making it one of the quickest machines General Motors sold that year. The GMT 400 trucks featured a more aerodynamic front end with a sloped hood, flush grille, and sedan-style doors with flush window glass. The chassis was redesigned with a fully welded frame and a boxed front section for enhanced strength and rigidity, and additional galvanized steel was used in the body for better corrosion resistance. The Big Ten package included unique tires and distinctive bedside decals. The fourth-generation CK series offered a wide range of engines, including a 4.3-liter V6, 5.0-liter V8, 5.7-liter V8, 7.4-liter V8, and 6.2 or 6 and 5-liter diesel V8s. Horsepower for the 1974 C10, which the Big Ten package was based on, ranged from 100 to 240. The 1975 Big Ten with the 454 V8 was a true performance sleeper for its time. These trucks are generally regarded as great, solid, affordable trucks and pretty solid by owners, with many reaching well over 300,000 miles. However, common issues include transfer case pump rub, where the pump rubs a hole in the case, power steering cooler rust, and frequent window regulator failures. Electrical problems, such as ABS module and sensor issues leading to erratic activation, fuel tank pressure sensor failures, and faulty stepper motors in the instrument cluster, were also reported. Rust was a significant concern, especially in Rust Belt states, affecting the body, cab mounts, and bumpers. Other issues included intake manifold gasket leaks and broken door handles. Despite their mass production, with Chevrolet selling almost 750,000 trucks in 1975 alone, the Big Ten package made certain configurations unique, yet they often went unnoticed by the general public, blending into the background of the popular CK series. Parts are generally easy to find and affordable. Average values for the third-generation CK, which includes the Big Ten, range from $21,105 to $37,123. The Dodge DW series pickups, particularly the third generation, launched in 1972, were Chrysler's answer in the full-size truck market, though they often lagged behind Ford and Chevrolet in sales. To inject flair and appeal, Dodge introduced the Adult Toys series in the late 70s, which included factory-customized models like the Warlock, Lil Red Express, and Macho Power Wagon. These special editions featured distinct styling elements. The D100 Gene Machine from 1978 was a wacky variant, identifiable by its orange exterior decals on blue paint and a specially trimmed bench seat. The D150 Warlock from 1976 to 1979 was a factory custom with gold pinstriping, custom wheels, a wooden bed, and a bucket seat interior available in bold colors. The Lil Red Express from 1978 to 1979 was perhaps the most iconic, featuring distinctive stacked exhaust pipes, wood side panels, and door graphics. It famously exploited a regulatory loophole in 1978, allowing light trucks over 600 pounds, GVWR, to run without smog gear, effectively making it a muscle pickup. The Macho Power Wagon from 1978 was identified by fender flares and unique paint codes. Under the hood, the DW series offered a range of robust engines. Common options included the 225 cubic inch slant 6, various LA V8s including 318 and 360, and larger RB V8s including 383, 400, and 440. The D100 Gene machine typically came with a 318 CID V8, producing 175 horsepower and 290 pound-feet of torque. The D150 Warlock could be optioned with a 440 CID V8, yielding 255 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque, though this was a rare configuration. The Lil Red Express featured a high-performance 360 CID V8, producing 225 to 230 horsepower and 295 to 340 pound-feet of torque. It was notably the fastest American-made vehicle from 0 to 100 mph in 1978, even outrunning a Corvette in 0 to 60 sprints with 6.7 seconds versus 7.8 seconds, and could complete a quarter mile in the 15-second range. The DW series trucks were generally known for being tough and dependable with rock-solid drivetrains. The Slant 6 engine, in particular, was considered indestructible. However, some models were slightly more rust-prone than competitors. The Lil Red Express, despite its performance, was criticized for being noisy, having a hard ride, and inadequate brakes. Its performance was also notably reduced in 1979 when catalytic converters became necessary due to the closing of the emissions loophole. Despite Dodge's overall sales struggles in the 70s, the Adult Toys series has gained significant collector interest due to their unique styling and performance attributes. The Lil Red Express has seen its value appreciate, now commanding $20,000 to $40,000. Warlocks average around $18,992, with top sales reaching $34,000, and Macho Power Wagons can fetch up to $24,200. The D100 Gene machine, while less common, typically sells for $7,500 to $17,500. The International Harvester Travelall was a full-size SUV produced by a company with deep roots in farming and heavy machinery. The fourth generation Travelall, produced from 1969 to 1975, was marketed as a suburban killer, directly competing with Chevrolet's popular SUV. However, International Harvester's light truck division struggled with sales in the early to mid-70s, leading to the discontinuation of the Travelall in 1975, along with the rest of the company's pickups. The Travelall was characterized by its rugged yet straightforward design. A particularly unique and rare variant was the Wagon Master, a Travelall with an integrated pickup bed specifically designed to haul campers. This innovative design predated similar offerings from other manufacturers by nearly 3 decades. Under the hood, the 1975 International Travelall typically featured an International Harvester 392 cubic inch V8 engine. This engine produced 150 to 175 horsepower and 315 pound-feet of torque. Performance figures included an estimated 0 to 60 time of 12 to 15 seconds, a quarter mile in 18 to 20 seconds, and a top speed of 100 mph. Fuel economy was estimated at 10 to 12 miles per gallon. Transmission options included a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual with optional 4-wheel drive. Today, the International Harvester Travelall is considered a rare find due to its relatively lower production numbers compared to its mainstream competitors. The Wagon Master is extremely sought after by collectors due to its exceptional rarity, with fewer than 500 units produced in 1974 alone. Values for Travelalls can range widely, from $10,000 to $30,000 or more for pristine examples, and they have seen a gradual appreciation in value as interest in vintage SUVs grows. The average sale price for a Travelall is approximately $31,121. The Subaru Brat was a compact pickup truck produced by Subaru from 1978 to 1994, primarily for the North American market. It was designed to compete with popular small trucks like the Chevrolet LUV and Toyota Hilux. The Brat quickly gained a cult following due to its quirky design, practicality, and solid performance in rough terrain. The Brat's most distinctive and ingenious feature was the inclusion of 2 rear-facing jump seats welded into the cargo bed. This clever modification allowed Subaru to classify the Brat as a passenger car rather than a light truck, thereby circumventing the punitive 25% chicken tax on imported trucks and significantly reducing import costs. The Brat also offered a T-top roof option and a front Nerf bar. Under the hood, the Brat was powered by Subaru's signature horizontally opposed boxer engines. Early models through 1981 used a 1.6-liter EA71H4 engine, producing 67 horsepower and 81 pound-feet of torque. From 1981 onwards, a 1.8-liter EA81H4 became standard, offering 73 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque. For the 1983 and 1984 model years, a turbocharged version of the 1.8-liter engine was available, boosting output to 95 horsepower and 123 pound-feet of torque. All standard Brat models came with a 4-speed manual transmission, with a 3-speed automatic optional for the turbocharged version. Its 4-wheel drive system, which became dual range for improved off-roading from 1981, further enhanced its capability. Subaru Brat sales peaked in 1978 and 1979, with approximately 20,945 and 23,041 units sold annually, respectively, before declining in subsequent years. Despite its relatively low production numbers compared to mainstream vehicles, the Brat has become a beloved classic among Subaru fans and collectors. Average sale prices for the Brat are around $1,400, with top sales reaching $31,100. The Chevrolet LUV was General Motors' compact pickup truck, imported from Isuzu and introduced in 1972. It served as Chevrolet's response to the growing demand for smaller, more fuel-efficient trucks during the 70s oil crises. The LUV achieved significant popularity, with sales peaking in 1979 at 100,092 units, and was even named Motor Trend's Truck of the Year in 1979. The LUV featured a no-nonsense exterior with a boxy silhouette and clean lines, and a basic but functional interior. The Mikado trim package, introduced in 1974, added a touch of exclusivity with striped upholstery and a 3-spoke steering wheel. A significant update came in 1979 with the introduction of an optional 4-wheel drive system. Performance-wise, the 1979 LUV was powered by a 1.8-liter 4-cylinder engine, producing 80 horsepower and 97 pound-feet of torque. It offered modest performance, with an estimated 0 to 60 time of 15 seconds and a quarter mile in 20 seconds. The 1979 4WD model took 16.3 seconds to reach 60 mph and 20.6 seconds for the quarter mile. Fuel economy was a strong point, estimated at 20 to 25 miles per gallon for the gasoline engine, and an optional diesel engine introduced in 1981 achieved 33 city and 44 highway miles per gallon. Power was typically sent through a 4-speed manual transmission. Despite its popularity, the LUV had several drawbacks. Critics noted its heavy and slow steering, anemic engine, and a cramped cab that was uncomfortable for taller drivers. The ride was described as noisy and crude. Chevrolet also failed to offer an extended cab option, unlike its competitors, which limited its versatility. Parts for the LUV are now scarce, despite 500,000 units being sold during its production run. Sales declined after 1979, and the Chevrolet LUV was eventually discontinued at the end of the 1982 model year, replaced by the larger, North American-made S10 pickup. The Mikado package adds a degree of rarity and exclusivity. Average sale prices for the Chevrolet LUV Mikado 4x4 4-speed range from $9,100 to $16,525, with some examples reaching $35,000. The Dodson 620 compact pickup truck played a pivotal role in the burgeoning mini-truck craze that swept through the United States in the early 70s. Produced by Nissan under the Dodson brand from 1972 to 1979, it became a recognizable symbol of this new market segment. Sales figures for the U.S. market indicate its popularity, with 87,816 units sold in 1973, 60,111 in 1974, and 72,023 in 1975. The Dodson brand name itself was eventually phased out in favor of Nissan in 1985. The Dodson 620 was available in various body styles, including 2-door pickup, 2-door long bed, 2-door extended cab, known as King Cab, and even 4-door pickup and delivery van variants. Under the hood, the Dodson 620 offered a range of inline-4 gasoline engines, including 1.5-liter J15, 1.6-liter L16, 1.8-liter L18, and 2.0-liter L20B units. A 2.2-liter SD22 diesel i4 was also available. Transmission options included a 3-speed automatic, a 4-speed manual, and an optional 5-speed manual from 1977. Today, the Dodson 620 is recognized as a classic, with average sale prices around $12,482. Top sales for well-preserved or modified examples have reached $28,000. The Dodson 620 embodies the sleeper concept not through hidden performance, but through its quiet yet significant impact on the American automotive market by popularizing the compact pickup truck. Its enduring presence and growing collector interest, particularly for its unique place in automotive history, highlight its overlooked importance. The Jeep J Series, also known as the Jeep Pickup or J-Truck, was a line of full-size pickup trucks built on the robust Jeep SJ Wagoneer platform, produced for an impressive 26 years from 1962 until 1988. These trucks were renowned as rugged and reliable workhorses, initially serving as the basis for post-war U.S. Army civilian vehicles adapted for military use. In 1974, the model designations were simplified to J10 and J20, signifying payload capacity. American Motors Corporation acquired Jeep in 1970, integrating its engines into the J Series lineup. The J Series featured a durable ladder frame chassis and was available in various body styles, including regular cab, extended cab, and crew cab, known for their high ground clearance and robust construction. Under the hood, the J Series offered a range of engines. Common options included the 258 cubic inch AMC inline-6 and the 360 cubic inch AMC V8. A particularly desirable option, available from 1974 through 1978, was the 401 cubic inch AMC V8. This powerful engine produced a net 215 horsepower and with a gross rating that was significantly higher, making it a true performance engine for a pickup truck. The combination of this powerful V8 with the Jeep's rugged construction created a vehicle that could handle serious work while delivering surprising performance on the road. Despite their long production run and solid reputation among those who knew them, the J-Series trucks often went unnoticed by the general public, overshadowed by more popular offerings from Ford and Chevrolet. However, their durability, off-road capability, and unique combination of American Motors engineering with Jeep's legendary four-wheel drive expertise made them exceptional vehicles for those who needed serious capability. Today, these trucks are increasingly appreciated by enthusiasts who recognize their value as dependable workhorses that could tackle demanding tasks while remaining relatively affordable and easy to maintain. What makes all these vehicles particularly fascinating is how they represent a different approach to automotive design and marketing. In an era when most manufacturers were playing it safe, these cars dared to be different. The Triumph TR7's wedge shape predicted future sports car design by decades. The AMC Pacer's emphasis on visibility and safety features was revolutionary. The Subaru Brat's clever regulatory workaround showed genuine innovation in getting around import restrictions. Even the much-maligned Chevrolet Vega introduced advanced aluminum engine technology that would later become commonplace in the industry.